about what we're going to do today in our brief time together. We're going to talk a little bit, share a little bit of an overview about financial futures. We're going to do some activities. You'll be working a little bit in partners. Then we're going to come back. We're going to talk some more about what we do with microbusiness, and you'll go back to your partners. Sound good? So I think you might be happy that the lights are on like in a minute. Not yet. So at CVOEO, we're one of 5 community action agencies around the state of Vermont. And what we do as a community action agency, our mission is really to focus on economic, social, and racial injustices in our 4-county area. So we work here in Franklin and Grand Isle counties, we work in Chittenden County, and we work in Addison County. So we have 3 offices. Our offices are here in St. Albans on Limited Drive. The pictures you take every time is like,
I know.
Yeah, I know. You've got it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that wasn't a good one. Okay, Kate, I'll tell you what. Just smile. There you go. Wait. Oh, that's not a good one. Yeah.
I'm going to email every week for a month, right? So our offices are right here in St. Albans. We also have an office on Champlain Street in Burlington, and we have an office located in Middlebury. And you may be familiar with our many other programs. We have 12 of them, so that includes things like weatherization, includes things like community action, Voices Against Violence, Head Start, and the list goes on. But I want to tell you a little bit about what we do at Financial Futures, and then we'll turn it over to John to talk about how micro-business really is a huge piece of that. So at Financial Futures, we support Vermonters on their path to economic prosperity, and we do that through 3 programs, which are all completely interrelated. So the first is called our Match Savings Development Accounts, individual development accounts. If people can save up to $1,000 of their own money over the course of 2 years, they are given $2,000 of match. So that's $3,000 they can have to spend on a first-time home purchase, on starting or expanding a business, or investing in their or a dependent's education. The second thing that we do is we provide financial capability coaching and classes. Forrest Gardner, I know, has been a familiar face at this meeting and has worked with a lot of folks here in this room. That's what he does 3 days a week here in Franklin Grand Isle, financial coaching capability and classes. And then we have our micro-business development services. So in short, what we do is we help people to learn, earn, save, and own. Our services are available region-wide. They are all free of charge, and it's for folks who are low and moderate income. So people who are living at 80% HUD median or less, our services are free. So that looks like $39,000 for an individual or $56,000 for a family of 4. So to get us started, everybody hopefully now has a copy of one of these reports, right? Which we're not using actually yet, but hopefully folks have it. So to get started, have a quick task. So first of all, think about those that you serve in your work. So no matter what your work is, at the legislature or at Val, in whatever context you're working with folks, think about the folks that you're serving and think about what are some of their financial dreams in life. So take a few moments, think about these, turn to a partner, and share these. What are some of the financial dreams of those that you're working with? Let's hear a few. Just shout them out.
Get a paycheck.
Getting a paycheck. Yeah, what else?
Financial independence.
Financial independence. That's a huge one. One more.
Yeah,
Getting their own car.
Food security. Transportation. Yeah. There's a lot of them, right? A lot of different dreams out there. So now, take a few minutes to explore our annual report. And this is something you can just do silently for a minute or two. And just peruse through it. There's a lot of different sections. And as you do so, think back to the dreams that you shared that your clients have. So food security, financial independence, transportation, the list goes on. What would be of most interest in here to those that you serve? So take a few minutes, peruse through this, and when you're ready, turn to a partner, another partner this time, and share what you found out. All right, let's hear a couple of examples. What are some of the folks? What are some of the things that you found that would be useful with the folks that you serve in reaching their financial dreams?
Debt reduction.
Yeah.
What's that?
Debt reduction.
Debt reduction. Yeah, debt reduction. The majority of our clients come to us with debt that is past due, and a good amount actually are able to make progress towards that, paying down that debt after working with us. It's huge. What else?
Turning smart spending, because so many clients that come to me are people who, they don't have a checking account. They get their paycheck, they cash their paycheck, and the money goes away, and they don't even know how they, really don't know how they spent their money. And so they do things like, oh, I'm hungry, so I just go to the Quick Stop and I buy a soda and a sandwich, which is a very expensive way to eat, and you know, they don't realize how wasteful they are being of what money they have.
Yeah, and I think, thank you, John. I think even just the reframing of, so the classes we offer are Spend Smart, and that's why we talk about it in the coaching. For me, I didn't have a personal budget until I started this job, because I was like, ooh, I'm the director of this job, I need to have a personal budget now, I guess. And I mean, I went through an MBA program, like I like numbers and stuff, but the idea of a budget just sounds awful. But the idea of a spending plan, ooh, a spending plan, I like to spend. Okay, let's talk about a spending plan. So yeah, the reframing, great. One more example, what else? Yeah.
Well, I just think this statement, I love this program, it demystifies things and makes money stuff less scary.
Yeah.
Is that word scary?
Yeah.
I think most people, including myself, are a little scared about addressing money and financial issues because it's potentially a very powerful thing in our lives that oftentimes we don't feel like we have a lot of control over.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail right on the head. Like the emotion and the fear behind money. I mean, there is research surveys. People are more comfortable talking about sex with friends than they are talking about money in our society. I mean, let that sink in for a minute, right? Like that's weird. So taking the taboo and the scariness out of money conversations. Great. So I thank you for talking to one another and delving in. I'm now going to pass it over to John, my colleague, who is a micro-business development coach, who's now going to talk more about micro-business and how it interacts with all of the things you just saw. Going to pass that out for you, John.
Thank you, Kate. I don't know that we need the bright lights if people prefer them off. That's fine with me.
You're just trying to make them like you better than me.
And that's
What does
hard.
the group feel? Leave them on or turn them off?
Bring them down.
Bring them back. Yeah. It's a good idea. Good idea. So thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this morning. As you've heard a couple of times, my name is John Gergely. I am with the Micro Business Development Program at CVOEO, and our mission is to help Vermonters who are struggling because of low income and poverty, but who think that they can and want to start their own businesses and become more economically independent. And so our objective is to work with folks like that to make their dream become a reality. Just by way of a little background on me, I retired from a long-time career in business finance in the corporate setting in the summer of 2016, and was very fortunate to have come across this job opening with CVOEO later that winter and started just a little over a year and maybe three months ago. And it's been a real life changer for me, just an incredible eye-opener, sort of understanding what real life is like. Being in a corporate setting, I have to tell you, it's a very sheltered world. So I feel fortunate to be in the position to try to make a difference in people's lives. I do share my role with my very capable colleague, Simeon Geigel. Maybe some of you know him. Simeon has been in the job as a business counsel at CVOEO for over 17 years. A couple years ago, he felt like he needed a little more time to himself, and he moved into a 3-day-a-week part-time position, which opened up the opportunity for me to join the team. So I'm there on a part-time basis, but still, as I say, I feel privileged to have that time to try to work with folks and help them as best I can. As we move through, I won't be too long, but as you listen to me, think about your own roles. And having heard your comments already this morning, it's obvious that we're all working kind of with the same folks, people with the same kinds of problems. And so you may find an opportunity for them through our program, and if you know people who you want to refer to me, by all means, please do. Contact information is in the Growing Money brochure that Kate passed out. Email and phone numbers are there. You can, your clients, or you can call either me or Simeon directly. As Kate mentioned, there are 5 community action organizations around the state. Each one has its own micro business development program. Our work is all one-on-one counseling and coaching with clients. People typically come in, some already have a business that they've started and they want help with a specific problem. Others come in with the idea, hey, I want to start a business. And what's your idea? Oh, I don't know, I have 2 or 3 or 4. And so that process takes a lot longer than in the case usually where a business is already up and running to some degree. And so our work consists of usually 1-hour sessions. We'll flesh out the idea, try to help the person figure out what they're good at, get an evaluation of their skill set, what resources are at their disposal, whether it's financial, whether they can get help from family, are they going to need to get a loan. And then we go through the usual business development process, which includes writing a marketing plan, a business plan, doing some basic financial analysis, cash flow statements. And all of these concepts are typically alien to most people who walk in the door. And as I think you were saying, money things are scary to people. And given that these people are struggling with problems already, it's even scarier. So spend a lot of time walking people through these things, educating them, sometimes showing them how to use spreadsheets, showing them how they can, of course, encouraging them to open up their own bank account, particularly if they're going to have a business. Just some very basic steps to get them started. Businesses that are already up and running, sometimes their problems are, they're a little more specific. They may have a legal question, an accounting question. They don't quite understand how to do reporting. They may have a particular marketing issue. So those problem solvings are more specific and targeted, but no less important. Again, these are all people with low income. So even businesses that are up and running are struggling in most cases. Let's see. So let's talk a little bit about where our clients come from and the profile, if there is such a thing of a typical client. Our clients come from a lot of the agencies that are represented here in this room. A lot come from within CVOEO. So when a person comes in to take advantage of the programs that Kate was talking about, whether it be fuel assistance or signing up for food stamps or housing problem, they'll hear about micro business and then make an appointment to meet with either me or Simeon. We also get referrals from Howard Center, from NCSS, from Restorative Justice, Voc Rehab, Department of Labor, just about any of the other social work agencies in our respective communities. Increasingly, we are trying to establish presence here in Franklin and Grand Isle counties, working with the Correctional Center. I do have one client there at the moment, and in fact we'll be meeting with him in the next hour. So we're trying to make ourselves known in there and try to work with people who are close to being released. So that's been a step in the right direction. As far as a profile is concerned, though, the only thing that everybody has in common is they're struggling with money. They're either at poverty level or slightly above, and trying to find a way to improve their economic lot in life. And beyond that, though, just some interesting facts that you may be interested in. Most of our clients are women, over 50%. Over 50% of our clients are college educated, and that maybe runs counter to what people think. I find that a lot of the college educated clients had the misfortune of graduating about 10 years ago, just as the big recession hit. and they've been struggling ever since with finding their footing economically. Most are working, most have jobs, but they're the kinds of jobs that don't pay them particularly well. And again, they're looking to improve their situation by starting a business. Many folks are artists and have a unique skill that they want to monetize, as it were. So we talk about how to do that. Most are, in fact, all are underemployed. Some are totally unemployed. Some are on unemployment income, but most have not most, but there are a lot of people who have no income. Some are homeless or near homeless. Some are couch surfing on a friend's couch or apartment or close to it. There's some who have experienced various midlife crises, and again, I'm sure these are familiar circumstances to a lot of you. Some clients, for example, middle-aged women in their 50s who had been dependent on a spouse their whole life for their income. The spouse either died or has suddenly divorced, and the client is left there trying to figure out now what. After 56 years old, what do I do? Really, it's tough. Many have the results of various emotional trauma they experienced in their life. So I see a lot of clients with anxiety problems, forms of PTSD. They're unable to work in a typical work setting, so they're looking for opportunities to start home businesses so they can be more comfortable. I've had a lot of clients, I should be careful about the word a lot, but some clients who have had accidents and with resulting brain injuries. And those injuries have just totally flipped their lives upside down as they try to figure out who they are as this different person and struggle with all the implications of those injuries. Even have some clients who come from wealthy families, and for reasons not always known to me, they've been cut off from the family, and here they are living in poverty or near poverty, and yet on the other side of this artificial wall are all the resources that they need, but they don't have access to them, and that's always painful to see as well. We have visually impaired, deaf people. Some are both blind and deaf. Most of our clients happen to be white, although increasingly we have a lot of new Americans, mostly from countries such as Somalia, Sudan, Ghana. I'm working with a gentleman from Serbia. So it's interesting how that representation is changing. Again, overall, people come in with little to no understanding of business. In fact, they're almost naive in their understanding about what it takes to start a business. So that's part of the education that we provide to our one-on-one coaching. Business ideas are as varied as the people who bring them. Obviously, many are fairly common. We have cleaning businesses, restaurants, coffee shops, boutiques, auto detailing. The new American community is very interested in starting specialty food shops or specialty stores that cater to their ethnicity or country of origin. Breweries are a fairly hot topic, obviously. Bakeries, dog walking businesses, hair salons, pet care. Even have a client trying to start a precision machining company. As I said, some of 3 or 4 ideas, and my advice to folks who have multiple ideas is what's your passion? It's hard enough starting a new business and to be successful if you had all the resources that you need at your disposal. So if you want to take this on, at least focus on what it is you're passionate about and make the journey worthwhile. As far as our intake process is concerned, just to mention a little more about what Kate was talking about, we have a requirement that all our clients participate in the 6 hours of classes that she mentioned, the Spend Smart and Keys to Credit. Sometimes people take those classes first, hear about microbusiness, and come to us. More often than not, they come to us first, and then we tell them, and we ask them to sign an agreement that they will, in fact, take those classes. We find that those classes serve a couple of purposes. One is it's just good anyway, whether or not you're starting a business. It's great training, great information about how to be wise about your money, understand where it goes, understand what credit's all about, how it can affect your life, how lower credit can improve lower your cost of living. And secondly, it provides a solid foundation for all our business clients. We know that they now have some basic level understanding of money and money management. And in a way, it serves as a screening tool, too. Some people don't want to take the classes, or some people take the classes and after meeting with me, they'll say, I'm not ready just now. I have other things I need to deal with first. I'll come back and talk to you later. We find that so some people self-select out altogether, and that's not a bad thing. That's actually, we find that to be, that's a positive outcome, that people realize that they don't, that this is a bigger thing than they can handle. So in conclusion, I'll wrap up here in a minute. What we find, though, is that about 70%, 60 to 70% of people who come in to meet with us initially don't come back, or at least not right away. Some folks find the challenge to be too daunting. Some feel that they need to take a little more time to think about it. Some drop out altogether. Some will resurface several months later. But the other thing is that the wins that we have they're very different from sort of the corporate world. While we do have some successful businesses, one of our best known outcomes is Switchback Brewery. That guy came through. I'm sorry, I forget his name.
Terry.
Yeah, came through our program. There's another successful business that started up in the north end of Burlington, Barrio Bakeries. They just opened a second restaurant in Richmond. So those kinds of successes are great to see. However, most of the successes they're incremental. It's just great to see when people come in and the happiness on their face when you get a business plan written with them, or you take them through some basic financial analysis and show them how a profit and loss statement ties to a cash flow statement. And these are all simple financial models, but for most people, the first time they're seeing them, and that they see in the numbers how potentially their business what it could be. But I think most of all, what I'm finding is that having a connection to clients and they know that I believe in them, and they're walking out with just a little more sense of hope than they had when they first came in. And so we just move on from there and build step by step. So that's essentially all I wanted to say. Are there any questions? Yes.
How many clients do you see in a month? On average.
Well, again, I'm 2 days a week, so I can have as many as 4 in a day. Typically, there are no shows, but I try to schedule 4 a day.
And on page 16, for microbusiness specifically, these are outcomes from last year. So just microbusiness, we had over $700,000 in capital leverage. And between John and Simeon, they served 213 clients in that program.
Could I ask another question, Kate?
Yeah.
I thought that some of the funding was cut initially for the program you're talking about.
Like the IDA?
At the federal level?
Yes.
We're still trying to get
So
on the state level to do at least a one-on-one match instead of a 2-to-1 match.
Yes, so thank you, Representative Rosenquist. That is exactly where we are right now. The federal funds for the program, this is our last year of having a 2-to-1 match for now, because we are looking for another source of local match. which we're kind of excited about, because should we shore up the local match, what that opens everything up to is that we don't have to meet federal requirements of here are the 3 things you could do. We can address the needs of people wanting to save for a car, or repair their car, fix their inspection, shore up the issues they're having with their driver's license. Home savings account. So we're still looking for the match for the next year's program, so it will still be 2 to 1. And should that happen, when that happens, it will be for many more issues that are more common for folks.
So how many people do you have in that match program now, and let's say last year?
Right now, I think we have 28. Yeah, and we're hoping to expand that as well into the next year.
So you're looking for a matching amount of like $20,000?
Yes. Yeah.
Approximately.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And John, you had mentioned on those that you meet with, that say they're just not ready, for one reason or another, every case is individual, we understand that. Is there any kind of do you have any kind of a program where after a period of time you reach out to those individuals just to see how they, I mean, not to be a high pressure.
Yeah, yes.
How are they doing?
Yes.
Are they ready? Do they have questions? Is
Yes.
there any way to advance their?
That's something that we're trying to build a little more structure on. I frequently will scroll through, I keep record of who I've met with and how long ago I've met with them, and I will just either send an email, pick up the phone and call somebody and say, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while, or how are things going, how are you doing? There's one gentleman I'm working with who has all kinds of problems, including a brain injury, and it's highly unlikely he's ever going to start a business. But I just stay in touch with him just because I know that when he does come in, when I call him, he does come in and talk to me, and we have a relationship, and he just needs somebody to talk to. So.
And we've been getting a lot of behavioral economics training lately in the last year or two. So some of the ways that we provide nudges include things like every year, one of the things we offer that's free for everyone is free tax preparation. And so we send out personalized postcard to all of our financial futures clients. It's a really good time for them to come in, file their taxes. Hopefully they're getting a refund even. And we're saying, hey, at the same time, why don't you schedule an appointment with a financial coach to talk about what you're going to do with the refund? Do you want to save it? Schedule a time to meet with John and Simeon to talk about how that might help you jumpstart your business. So yeah, there are ways that we do in nudging, but not high pressure ways, reach out to continue to support people.
Can I ask a question, just a little clarification? You said that you go in facility, that's something new with going to corrections in
Yes.
facility. Is that across the state, or is that something new being tried here in Swanton?
Well, we're
Starters?
starting it here, and interestingly enough, I was there about 3 weeks ago and met a gentleman who works there who called me since then and asked me to come meet with some women at the Champlain Correctional Center.
Perfect, all right, I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yes, we
yeah.
work with a lot of people before they're released.
Yes.
Certain things put in
Yes.
place, so that's something I'll keep in mind.
Yes, please.
For sure.
Yep.
And then one other thing, so with the tax preparation, that's something that you assist people with via referral. So if I have, say, we have a panel of about 180 plus people, and it's high-risk individuals with Department of Corrections, DCF involvement in treatment or seeking treatment. So what would that referral say? We usually encourage them anyway to go and connect with you guys, but for things like tax preparation and understanding how to open a checking account and what does a reconciliation mean, things like that, would you be the person we connect them with? Or?
Well, there are two. Go ahead.
For tax prep, it's really easy. This is for everyone. Just call 211, and that will make their appointment at any of the locations that are nearest to them. So 211, they will get an appointment.
Right. And as far as the checking account, I mean, if somebody wants to start a business, they should talk to me. But if you look at the brochure, there's information in there about the Growing Money program, the Spend Smart and Keys to Credit. They can take those classes, and if that's all they're interested in doing.
And those are right on Lemon.
They're here, yes, as well as in Burlington, yes. And there is if you go to our website, there's a link to the classes and when they're scheduled, that people can sign up online.
Okay, perfect. So we'll probably incorporate that in our training on the 20th.
Great.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Stacy?
Just a quick question for
Yes.
you. You know, as you were talking about switchback and kind of that success story, I think about economic revitalization, and that's a huge issue right now in Franklin and Gwinnett counties, specifically in Swanton and Richford and Enosburg, where we're seeing more vacant downtowns. And so I'm just curious, are you exploring working with industrial boards in terms of like Franklin County Industry? Or I know Enosburg has a newly developed industrial board looking at increasing that vitality in certain towns. And I bring that up just because St. Albans sometimes is just too far for people to drive from Richford and Enosburg and
Right.
Montgomery and some of those outlying areas. Would there be opportunity to bring your services directly to Enosburg, say, or Richford, or kind of those outlying areas in our county?
I'll let Kate
Yeah.
address that.
There absolutely is, and one of the things that I see as a huge opportunity, especially with the industrial development boards and economic development, is I think oftentimes people have assumptions about who does economic development and who drives economic development, and I don't know that it's intentional, but I think that people with low and moderate incomes tend to be left out of that picture. So anything where there are opportunities where you see that we can be part of that picture, where we can bring clients and our services into that picture, we would love to do that.
Okay, cool.
Do you have some liaison with Tim Smith, for instance? I don't know, you know.
We attend the monthly meetings that don't have names that Chris goes to as well. Yeah, whatever those meetings are. Yeah.
He's probably going to be your new mayor.
Yes, he is. As a matter of fact, his son was a close runner-up, but Tim knocked it out of the park, I guess. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, well, Kate and John, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And best of luck with the program.